Let's get down to business right now as we welcome Shellye Arnold, the president and CEO of the Memorial Park Conservancy. Shellye, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. It's great to be here.
People love Memorial Park, don't they?
People love Memorial Park. It holds a special place in Houstonians' hearts.
It really does. Let's tell people, first of all, about the Conservancy, what your organization does.
Well, we are a nonprofit of 501c3, and we operate and maintain most of the park on behalf of the city. So Memorial Park is a public park. It's owned by the citizens of Houston. It's 1,500 acres, which is nearly twice the size of Central Park, and we operate and maintain 1,100 of the 1,500.
That's a lot of acres, and it's right in a very strategic part of the city, right there on the west side of Houston. And
it really is. It's considered centrally located. It's very unusual on a national scale to have a park that size centrally located. It's in the west part of the central part of Houston, inside the loop, and it's very unusual to have especially a park that's an urban wilderness park that big, that close in.
And let's tell people, especially those that are outside of Houston, because even when people visit the city, it's used by our residents, no doubt. But I know a lot of people that come to visit, and they're like, oh, I love Memorial Park. So let's tell people some of the things that are done, certainly joggers and walkers. But what are some of the things we can do if we want to visit Memorial Park?
Well, one time I counted all the things to do, and I stopped counting at 40. There were so many things.
That many?
There were that. I mean, certainly, jog and run and walk and high-speed cycle and mountain bike and rollerblade, and there's golf, there's tennis, there's a fitness center.
Baseball.
There's baseball, softball, there's multi-purpose field soccer, there's picnicking, passive recreation, nature watching. Nature watching is a big one. People watching. Memorial Park really reflects Houston. Houston is, ethnically, culturally the most diverse city in the U.S., and Memorial Park reflects that as well. On any given Saturday, you'll see hundreds or thousands of people there, and you'll hear so many languages and see so much different cultural dress. It's really, really exciting.
And I'm glad you said people watching because of all the activities, and they're all great. In fact, when my son was just a little guy, he's 38 years old now, but we used to ride mountain bikes in the trails with friends, and that was a big part of his growing up. But yes, the people watching is super fun. I like to do that.
I do too, and I actually am a mountain biker too, so I do ride the trails on the south side. But one of my favorite things is people watching, and then the other favorite one is nature watching. Is watching the birds and turtles and all the nature that thrives in Memorial Park.
And as you mentioned that, I was on your website. Let's tell people the website because there's so many things that we can't mention in the time on the show, but we want to make sure people hit the website because you talk about the elements of nature, the various animals, and all those things on the website. What is it?
It's memorialparkconservancy.org. So www.memorialparkconservancy.org.
Let's tell people about the event that just happened last week.
Last Saturday, actually.
Yeah.
So we are working on $200 million worth of projects in the park right now of improvements, and we being our partners at the Uptown Houston, our partners at the Kinder Foundation, and at the Parks and Recreation Department in the city of Houston. We're working on these projects. One of them, we'll have these projects delivered by 2028. One of them is a 100-acre project called the Land Bridge and Prairie Project. And so we hit a milestone right now. We're hitting a milestone. We're getting ready to open the tunnels on Memorial Drive up to traffic on Memorial Drive. And that's important because the tunnels will enable this nature bridge or this land bridge to be constructed. It will allow the completion of this project. We broke ground in August of 2020, and we're almost done. The whole project will be done at the end of the year. When the traffic shifts into the tunnels in March for eastbound and April for westbound, we'll be able to complete the land bridge and prairie parts of the project, which are the project.
And the land bridge, I've seen pictures. I've never seen that before. How did that idea even begin?
It was a collaborative effort, really. There was a lot of Houstonians when we were planning for the future of Memorial Park after the drought that catalyzed kind of a new thinking for Memorial Park. And we reached out to Houstonians and we asked what they wanted in their park. And one of the things we heard from over 3,000 people And one of the things that people said they wanted were safer crossings. They said they wanted to understand the parts of Memorial Park that they don't have access to. And the Memorial Park is cut into basically 25 different pieces by roads and railroads and parking lots and ball fields. And so one of the things people explicitly said, I would like to be able to cross Memorial Drive and see what's on the other side. And so that was sort of one driver. But then we studied the park. We had 25 ecological scientists, ecologists and scientists, biologists, stormwater management experts, all kinds of people. Learned that we also had other needs, and we had needs to manage stormwater better for Houston in Memorial Park. So that's really important for Houston, not just for the park. We also had needs to reestablish a wildlife corridor that was broken by 6 lanes of traffic. And so access to the park, safety, stormwater management, wildlife crossings, these are just some of the things that we learned that we needed to do in the studies. With our landscape architect, Nelson Bird Woltz and Thomas Woltz and his team, with our project partners, with our scientists and researchers, we learned that the best way to address these multiple needs was this land bridge and prairie project. And that was one of the best ways to address these multiple needs. And it does all of these things and even sequesters carbon, CO2 better, the prairies, hold more stormwater and sequester more carbon dioxide. And those are great benefits of what we're building in this 100-acre project. It's going to be fun, too.
Well, so many moving parts.
Yeah, so many moving parts. It's really interesting. It's not just a crossing.
No, it's
a lot more.
Incredible. We're talking with Shellye Arnold, President and CEO of Memorial Park Conservancy. Shelly, it seems like it's just been the past couple years, and we do want to thank Bob Ethington for bringing you here today. They're going to be on a show coming up in a few weeks, but you work hand in hand with Uptown Houston. But it seems like it's just been the past few years where Memorial Park got a major revitalization, or the seeds were planted. Am I right on that timeline?
You are absolutely right on that. So I mentioned the drought. The drought catalyzed movement in Houston to care better for this public asset, this 1,500 acre public asset that is Memorial Park. The city came together through the Uptown Development Authority with the private sector. So this is really what we're doing is reflective of a public-private partnership, quite an innovative public-private partnership with the public funding coming from Uptown Houston, the private funding coming from donors, including our catalyst donor, the Kinder Foundation, who is really facilitating the acceleration of 10 years worth of projects of $200 million to be completed by 2028. And so that's the timeline we're on. We've already opened Eastern Glades. We completed and opened the 100-acre Eastern Glades project. We have the Land Bridge project under construction now. We have a running complex project in design that will be delivered in 2023. We're moving the Seymour Lieberman Trail off of Memorial Drive, the very popular 3-mile running loop. 1 mile of it has been on Memorial Drive historically. We're moving that off as part of all of this work. And then we also opened sports fields on the north side of Memorial Drive. To do the Land Bridge and Prairie project, we had to move a number of sports fields, ball fields, parking lots. Everyone thought that was trees back there, and that's not what it was. It was acres and acres of that. And so we moved the ball fields and the associated parking lots up to the northeast quadrant of the park and opened those as well. And so there have been, improvements are already underway, and then we have things on the way. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Amazing. Give us an idea, as you're the president and CEO of this organization, and so many things that you're doing, upcoming. Give us an idea, if I don't know if it's typical, but what's your day like, or what's your week like as you're wrangling all these projects and you're full of the passion and excitement as these things are coming to be a reality?
Well, no day is the same, so that's a truth. One thing that's great is that we have such strong team members in both our staff and our volunteer board, as well as our project partners. And so it's really a lot of, you have to harness the power of the talent around you and the commitment around you. It's really about harnessing that power. And so it's about whether it's getting the word out like you're helping us with right now, and thank you for that, or bringing people in to organize our March 10th gala, which will be in the park, memorialparkconservancy.org. It will be in Eastern Glades, kind of doing those things. We also care for and maintain the parts of the park that we're improving. And so things like our gala help us do just that. They help us raise the operating funds to do just that. So we're doing the capital improvements, and then we're doing the operating care and maintenance for the park. So my day is about harnessing the talent and power of those around me, whether that means coming and talking to folks like you, or whether that means raising money, or whether that means inspiring and building our staff. We've grown from 3 people to 60 in just a few years. And so it's been a fast ramp, and thanks a lot to our Uptown partners that brought me here today. Yeah, exactly.
Well, nothing against the other parts of our great city and our spread out ramblings as we go north, south, east, and west, and spreading like crazy here in Houston. But my 2 favorite spots are Uptown and Memorial Park. Living in the Uptown area and the surrounding area of Memorial Park is really just a gem for people that are able to do that, and you're near so many super things. Give us an idea, a quick word on the history of Memorial Park, because it has, and that could be a 2-hour show in itself,
sure.
I know, but
It
just a
could be.
few bullet points there, Shelley, on the history of Memorial Park that even the Houstonians that run there every day and
Don't know,
cycle,
sure.
I bet they don't know a lot of these things.
Sure. Well, there's really there's a couple things to consider. There's the ecological history and the cultural history, and they both play into the park now. The ecological history, much like Houston Memorial Park was, a native Gulf Coast prairie, and that is what is most absorbent for stormwater, for carbon dioxide. That is what is most absorbent and healthy and resilient for our environment. We are restoring the Gulf Coast prairie in parts of the park. And right now, along the Gulf Coast, there's less than 1% of 1% left. And that explains, in part, why we have such problems with flooding, for example. We're restoring parts of the park to native Gulf Coast prairie, also to forest and other things as appropriate. And culturally, Memorial Park has a rich history and an important history that ties back to our nation's history. And that is, it was a World War I training camp. And it was called Camp Logan, and the park was set aside and named to honor those who served. And they served in 1917, 1918 by training or volunteering. There were a lot of volunteers who came and served in Memorial Park. That's why the park is named, and a lot of the work that we're doing pays tribute to those who served. There's also a part of that history that is a very difficult part of Houston's history, which are what are considered to be the riots and mutiny associated with Camp Logan and with Houston. Although they weren't really riots and they weren't really a mutiny, the more history is learned about this tragic time of that was really precipitated by racial injustice and treatment, the more we understand, the more we know. And it's important for our stories today. And we'll tell those stories as part of the work we're doing in Memorial Park.
And if you're someone that uses the park right here in Houston, if you're a tourist and you come to Houston, visit Memorial Park. However, if you use the park daily or whenever, I think if they go to the website, memorialparkconservancy.org, you'll learn more about it and have an extra appreciation as you're making that 3-mile turn, especially in the summer when it's super hot and all those.
Well, right now, the most visible thing is the Land Bridge and Prairie project. So I'll spend a little more time on that. That project, as I mentioned, it will open at the end of the year. What people are seeing are these tunnels that cars will drive through, will open up in March and April. But really, that project will bring so much to Houston. The other thing we heard from Houstonians is they want a place to gather. Memorial Park wasn't viewed as, and hasn't been viewed traditionally as, very family friendly, for example, and not a lot of places to gather and picnic. And so this will be an additional place on top of those 35-foot hills. We'll have 2 35-foot hills with fantastic views of the uptown skyline, of the downtown skyline, and a place to throw a picnic blanket down. That'll just be fun. We'll have trails. We'll have, it would add a whole element of it would be iconic for Houston. This Land Bridge and Prairie project with the associated hills will really be something that will change the way people think about Houston. It's a rare instance in Houston of where green is winning over gray. Green's winning over the highway. And it's such a complex design project that achieves so many objectives. We really think it's going to garner national and international acclaim and attention because there's nothing like it in the U.S. or in the world that we've identified with all of the objectives and all the complex design that went behind it. And bottom line for Houstonians, it's going to be fun.
Another Houston distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, Shellye Arnold, President and CEO of the Memorial Park Conservancy. Shellye, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for helping get the word out, and appreciate you.
Time for a picnic.
Exactly.
All right.